Did you know that March is Women's History Month, National Nutrition Month, and National Kidney Month? It is basically a month honoring everything that is Melanie and the Kidney Dietitian. To celebrate, I'm running special pop-up sales for the entire month of March 2024. To stay informed, make sure you are on my email list. You can get a free kidney-friendly snack list and subscribe to get all the details of these special sales all month at www.kidneystonefreebie.com. That is www.kidneystonefreebie.com. Welcome to the Eat Away Kidney Stones podcast. I'm your host, registered dietitian and kidney stone expert, Melanie Betts. After learning a ton about kidney stones and helping people prevent stones at the University of Chicago, I was fed up with all the terrible advice people were finding online. So I decided to do something about it. The Kidney Dietitian was born. This podcast is for people who want to learn what actually works to prevent kidney stones and still enjoy life, eating, and their favorite foods. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to the 34th episode of the Eat Away Kidney Stones podcast. I'm your host, registered dietitian and kidney stone expert, Melanie Betts. And today we have a very special guest, Gina, who is a kidney stone former and joined me today to talk a little bit about her story over the past almost decade now of dealing with kidney stones. So please help me welcome Gina to the podcast. Right. Hello, Gina, and welcome to the Eat Away Kidney Stones podcast. I am so excited to see you and to have you on the podcast.
It's good to be here.
Yes. So we met how many years ago? Or not how many years? How it was not really that long ago at all, actually.
I think I took the actual kidney stone course. It's been 6 months or something ago, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
I have been following you though for over 2 years.
Oh, okay. So you've known of me for a while.
I've known of you, yes, for a while. You just didn't know me.
Yeah. Well, it was wonderful meeting you in a kidney stone nutrition school. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me on the podcast a little bit about your experience. I've heard from listeners that they really enjoy these podcasts that I've done with previous students in kidney stone nutrition school, just to kind of understand a little bit more what it's maybe like in the course, and also just to hear other people's stories. I think sometimes having kidney stones can feel sort of isolating, that you're going through it alone. No one really gets what you're going through. And so I think just hearing your story is really helpful. So thank you so much for being open and sharing it with us.
When you tell somebody that, like at work or something, that you were gone because you were passing a kidney stone, they're like, "Oh, really? What's that?"
Right. It's like you hear of
It's
it and like a
painful. That's what it is.
Right. Right. Yeah, people don't understand, I think. And even honestly, like in the medical community, they're almost like a joke. It's like, oh, it's just a kidney stone. Like, no, not just a kidney stone. Like
No.
it's a big deal. In addition to, obviously passing the stone is miserable, but then also the after effect of trying to navigate life with kidney stones or having a history of stones, like all the nutrition stuff, obviously, and figuring out new doctors to find, just like it
yes.
really impacts your whole life.
It does. It takes it when you find out you have them, then it's like, what do I do now? And then if you don't mind, I'll tell you kind of how I found out I had them.
Sure, absolutely. If you want to start with just who are you? What do you do?
Okay.
Where do you live? And then go into it. Yeah, that'll be a good starting point.
So my name is Gina, and I am a retired special education teacher from I did middle school. Well, actually, I've taught everything from birth to 21, to be honest with you.
Oh,
I've even taught college, a couple of college courses. So yeah, I've got this, did 38 years in the education field. And kind of in the middle of all that, I discovered that I had a hip problem. Actually, I should say it was about 8 years ago, I discovered I had a hip problem. And in the process of discovering I had the hip problem, they were x-raying my hip while they were going through a special MRI machine process. And there were two techs. One had to put the dye in you and all that stuff, and the other one was, so they were kind of curious what was going on. They were behind the screen that they stand behind when they're doing all this process, and they had a tech that was in training. And while I'm laying there, I hear the tech in training say, "Oh, she's not going to want to see this."
that's not something you want to hear.
what don't I want to see
Oh.
or hear about? And so while when they said that the process was done, I'm still laying there and I said, "Okay, guys, I heard what you said. What don't I want to know about?" And they said, "Well, let's get you off the table and we'll show you." I had 9 kidney stones. Now, I came from a family who had a history of kidney stones. My sisters had passed them, my mom and dad had passed them, and for years, I thought I was the lucky one that didn't have kidney stones. No, I was just building a nice collection of them instead. So
Your kidneys were just really good at hanging on to them.
they were really good at hanging on to them. And so some of them were pretty good size. In fact, none of them were small enough to pass by themselves. So that started the process of going to the urologist, finding out what to do. Where do I go from here? And the urologist, first thing he said was, some of those are really big. They could actually be damaging to leave them in there. So I think we should do a lithotripsy. Well, I don't know if I don't know if anybody is if you're new to this and you haven't had lithotripsy done before. My first experience with lithotripsy was great because he said, we're gonna smash those stones. They'll come out. They'll be like glitter. You'll just urinate, catch them in a little strainer. No big problems. No issues. Had no issues. The ones on the right side were great. They just smashed really easy. Um, and then he said, we'll have to let you wait and heal for a while, and then we'll do the left side. Well, the left side wasn't as cooperative, and it took 2 lithotripsies to do the
Mm.
left side. And on the first time around on the I just went into it thinking, oh, this is a no, yeah, they put me out. They zap them with the ultrasound or microwave or whatever they do, whatever that shocky
They're
thing is that they
lasers.
use. They laser, yeah, whatever they do with them, they zap them and they'll just, I won't have any problem. Life will be good again. Nope, not so easy. So lithotripsy doesn't always go as simple as it may sound for some people. At least for me, it did for the right, not for the left. The left was miserable. Um, in fact, I ended up in the ER twice because of it, because they were so painful. Trying to pass them, the stones would not, on the left side, they were much harder. They would not just obliterate into glitter.
So the
And
fragments that they had to leave after the lithotripsy were large and
they were big, yes.
mhm,
They were like 2 and 3 millimeters
mhm,
because they
yeah.
were big stones on the left side. So passing those was not real pleasant. Um, the third time, well, I should back up a little bit because I did have a point where I thought, man, I'm feeling like I might have to go to the ER again. And he had given me some oral medicine. I could take it home. I called him. I said, the oral medicine's not really working. He said, I could give you a shot if you think you can pass those at home. So I said, well, okay. I was getting ready to go and get the shot. I had to go to the bathroom. I passed 11 stones in one urination.
Kind of amazing.
It was one of them was the size of like a grape seed,
Oh my
but they were
gosh.
11 stones. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, well, no wonder I felt terrible.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but then you're good.
yeah, then it was good. So that was fine. But they couldn't believe it. In fact, I had to take a picture of it. I called them, I took a picture, I emailed it to him, and he actually posted them in some urology thing because he'd never seen that many pass all at once. So
Yeah.
it is possible. And that one I didn't have to go to the ER for. But if you've ever passed them and you understand why I had to go to the ER, yeah, I'm not a wimp when it comes to things. I gave birth to both my kids without any medication. No, I did all natural, all that stuff. So they just hurt. They hurt worse than giving birth to babies. I would rather give birth to a baby. So
Yeah. You
it
get
just
something fun out of it too
oh yes,
when you have a baby.
something cute and fun.
Yeah.
The third time was not so much fun because the third time they were trying to break up there's a big stone sitting at, well, it's now in 4 pieces, but it was a huge stone sitting at the bottom of my left kidney. And in addition to that, your kidney has these little spots that go in kind of like little triangles, okay,
Mhm.
all the way around. And in the very bottom of my left kidney, the one of those little triangle spots was filled with stone and it had sealed off. And they couldn't leave that in there either. So they actually had to do a laser surgery to open that up.
Mhm.
And so the recovery from that um, was kind of shocked me and kind of scared me a little bit, to be honest with you, because your kidney bleeds a lot. And I didn't realize how much kidneys bleed. and it bled, and it bled, and it
Mhm.
bled, and I actually had to go back into the hospital for 2 days to be monitored because it was bleeding so much. He said it was normal, but he still wanted to monitor me because they said, "Can you give me a urine sample?" And the nurse said, "I'd said a urine sample, Gina, not a blood sample." So, I'm not kidding, it was just
Yeah.
like you're just urinating straight blood. So that was a little scary.
Mhm.
That was a scary part, but it all healed up and all was good except for the 4 pieces that they broke up on the largest stone. They were too low in the kidney. They're so low that they can't travel up. So, um, he'd hoped that one of the pieces might travel up, but it didn't. And so occasionally I do get some pain because they're actually floating back together and connecting.
Mhm.
So they will eventually merge, gravity's going to merge them back together into one big lump.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you've had quite the bout with stones. I work with people from, the whole gamut, like people who have had one stone and want to do everything they
mhm,
can to prevent it, and people who have had literally hundreds of stones and obviously are just kind of at their wits' end and don't know what they can do to prevent stones. You've
mhm.
had a rough go just having
I have.
multiple surgeries slash procedures to remove them and having those complications. And, it's no fun, and this is why I'm so passionate about what I do because there is always something that we can do to at least reduce the risk of this happening to people again. And I feel like
Mhm.
the preventative care that people with stones typically get is meager at best.
Yes, because
um
that entire time, all I was told was, "You need to eat a low oxalate diet and take, calcium citrate."
did they even do a 24-hour
So,
urine test?
no, they did not.
Yep.
They did not. I did not find out about 24 hour. Oh, I take that back. After the 3rd lithotripsy, he did.
Okay.
I take that back. I did do 1, but he never explained the results to me.
Hmm.
All he said was, "You have calcium oxalate stones. I want you to stay on the low oxalate diet and keep taking your calcium citrate and drink a lot of water."
Hmm. Yeah. And
Well,
remind me, was your urine oxalate even high?
no, it has never been that high.
Hmm.
I have too high a calcium in my urine.
As
It's pretty common.
80% of people with calcium
Mhm.
stones do.
Yep, so
Yep.
that's what the deal was. So I was
Mhm.
eating a low oxalate diet, which actually, if you really stick tight to a low oxalate diet, you feel like you're eating kind of a junk food diet. I mean, seriously, you
Absolutely.
don't feel
It's
like
not
you're
a healthy
getting much
diet.
nutrition at all. And I
Mm-mm.
felt terrible. I mean, I have some other health issues that I thought, "This is not even good for my inflammation or these things, it's just not good." And
Mm-mm.
I did that for, about 2 years. And even though I was following you on your, emails and some of your blog things, and your website, what I don't know, this sounds terrible, but I didn't fully trust that it was going to work because I thought I better stick with what my urologist
I
said,
know. I know. I
and
need
was wrong. I was totally wrong because I ended up this time last year out $9,000 out of pocket, even though I had insurance, to get a stone removed because it was stuck because I
Mhm.
was still creating stones.
Mhm. Yeah, and I get it. You hear that you have oxalate stones. It makes
Mhm.
intuitive sense. Oxalate we should eliminate or at least reduce it as much as possible, right? Like that
Mhm.
makes intuitive sense.
Right.
I'm going to try to not go on my soapbox about oxalate because I have so much other content about that. Um, but so I get there's this like fear factor, I think. Plus,
Mhm.
obviously, when your doctor, not saying that your doctor, listeners out there don't know what they're saying, but
Yeah.
that low oxalate diet is just given out to everyone no matter what. And
Yep.
9 times out of 10, that's so not necessary. But anyway, I will pull myself back in. So I get like it's also like I'm just a random person online, right? Like I get it. Like you don't unless you like kind of look into what I've done, like you think, oh, why should I trust this random girl on Instagram? Which is good. That is a good mindset to have. You shouldn't trust most people on Instagram, to be fair. Um, so I'm not blaming you is my point. I'm glad that you took some time to warm up to me.
Well, after getting the last stone removed and being out so much money, I said, "This is crazy.
Mhm.
What he's telling me to do all the time is not working. the things that I was
You'll
reading on your
believe.
website and on your, and on your emails. I get your emails all the time. I thought, man, I've tried some of it, but I haven't committed 100% to it. So I'm going to commit 100% to it. And that's what I did.
Mhm.
And so I got another, um, when I decided to do the kidney nutrition school, I decided to go ahead and I requested another 24-hour urine sample
Fresh
or
data.
test and got that done.
Mhm,
Found out I don't have high oxalates. In fact, they're below normal.
mhm.
In fact, they're pretty low. It's the high calcium was the problem. And so I started following everything you said. I took the nutrition school. I've been following you really close. I loved what you said on the feedback on my 24-hour urine test. It was
It was
very
helpful.
helpful, very
Good.
helpful. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna jump into this hook, line, and sinker. We're gonna go all the way with this. And I did, and emailed you with my wonderful results. I had I had a 6 month checkup, had no new stones. I had a 1 year checkup, no new stones in an entire year. That is a miracle for me. I mean, I usually had at least 2 or 3 new stones within 6 months.
Mhm.
So
That's
after
amazing.
after the 6 month checkup, I was like, okay, okay, we got to keep doing this. Got to see if we can make this go a year. So now it's like a challenge, like every 6 months, you make sure that there's no new stones in there.
Yeah. Well, keep me updated. Good or bad news, please do let me know.
I will. So
Yeah. So,
and the stone in my left kidney, the stones there have not grown in size. So
yeah, which is our goal. I think,
yes.
we can't do anything to dissolve kidney stones, unfortunately, except for uric acid stones. We can maybe do some stuff there. But for most people, we can't dissolve stones. There's a
Mm,
lot we can do to prevent more stones from occurring and from
right.
current stones from getting bigger. And that's what we've done for Gina, it sounds like. So
Yep.
that's
It worked.
fantastic. Yeah.
And in the process, with eating all the more fruits and vegetables and being healthier, I've lost 12 pounds now. So, which I
Awesome.
wanted to do anyway. I was trying to lose about 20 pounds. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So before it sounds like you were trying to drink more water, not eat
mhm.
oxalate, and take calcium citrate.
Yep.
So how was your eating different, or how was what you're focusing on different now after you've learned a little bit more about what actually matters?
I um I'm aware of oxalates, but I'm not obsessed with oxalates. Let's put it
Hmm.
that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love that.
I try to keep things to the moderate or low oxalates, which actually opens up a lot of food you can eat. For example, you can
Most
eat,
things.
yeah, most things. Most things. And so I instead of eating like white bread, which I was doing, which I didn't really, I mean, white bread tastes good, but it's not good for you. So I eat oat bread, either
Mhm.
make it myself or I buy the brand that you recommend. Only here
Brown berry oat nut. That's what I tend to buy.
yeah, it's called Oro
Mhm.
Wheat here. It's the
Oh
same
yeah.
company.
Yeah. I don't
It's
know why it's different, but
Oro
yes.
Wheat on the West Coast. Yep.
Yep.
So I do that one, or I make my own. I like to bake bread, so I make my own. And I honestly, I can't find. You had a low oxalate oat bread recipe that you
Yeah.
sent out once. Can you resend that out because I can't find
Sure.
it and I wanted to use it. So
Yeah,
I found some that looked similar to that. So that's what I've used. But
yeah, it's on my website. If you search in my website low oxalate bread,
okay,
that will bring it up. But I can send it to Gina, and I for listeners, I'll put it in the show notes too.
perfect. Because I love to bake bread.
Not
So
nice.
that's
I also love to break bread. However, that is not in my schedule these days with twin 21 months olds. Maybe one day I'll make bread again.
yeah. Um and I eat a lot more fruits and vegetables. And a lot of times I make smoothies in the morning.
Mhm,
I love a good smoothie.
mhm,
I used to put a bunch of whey protein powder into it.
mm, mhm.
I do put a tablespoon, but I don't, just to get a little bit extra protein, but I don't
You
put
don't need a
what I
ton of
used
that.
to put in it. Nope.
Mhm,
And my favorite one is I use blueberries. I use non-fat milk, and I have to do lactose-free milk, so that's no big deal. But
mhm.
just do non-fat milk,
Yep.
and I use blueberries, and I cut up honeydew melon, and I freeze the chunks. And honeydew blueberry is amazing. It's
Yeah,
very
that sounds
refreshing.
great.
So that's my a
Yes.
little bit of vanilla, just a little bit of vanilla extract in
Mhm.
there, and about a fourth of a banana, frozen banana.
Nice. For some
and
creaminess, yeah,
uh-huh,
and
and then a
sweetness.
little flax, and then about a tablespoon of flax meal. It's
Nice.
just a really good it's a good smoothie. It gets a
Yeah.
good and I didn't eat that many fruits and vegetables before because, I mean, I was really restricted. If you really look at all the, like the dark green leafy vegetables, I don't do spinach. I still don't do spinach or Swiss chard because I think, they are high.
Those are yeah, spinach especially, if you it's like
Mhm.
7 times higher than any other
Right.
high oxalate food, so
But I
certainly it
use a
makes
lot of
sense.
romaine lettuce now because
Mhm.
I think it's a dark green leafy that's pretty low actually.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely, and arugula is a great option,
mhm.
honestly, all of them other than spinach and Swiss chard are completely fine, even if you
Mhm.
do need to limit oxalate.
Yeah. So I
Mhm.
just if you look at the oxalate chart that I think you have one. In fact, I have
Mhm.
it printed out to be honest with you. Um, and I have it cross-referenced because I'm supposed to eat a low I have acid GERD, so
Mhm.
and then there's another one that I have, it's L something, I can't remember, but anyway.
Okay.
But I can't remember the acronym for it, but it just really means I have chronic acid reflux.
Mhm. So,
So to
like,
help
tomatoes
control that.
probably aren't gonna be a super great
Right,
option for you.
right.
Mhm.
So I took the oxalate diet chart and the acid watcher chart, and I kind of cross-referenced them. And what I've learned is that I can actually eat things that were restricted on the acid watcher diet if I keep a good balance with the oxalate and everything else, because I think that's because I'm not eating as much meat or as
Mhm.
high of protein. So there's
Yeah.
not as much acid in my system to start with.
Okay,
That's my
interesting.
guess. I don't know. What do you
So
I'm
since
just
cutting
curious
back
to
and
ask
making
you
some
about
of
that.
these changes, your reflux is better too for
It
somehow.
is.
Hmm,
It is.
yeah, yeah. That could be just like
So
eating generally healthy diet, like eating lots of fiber, keeping your GI system going, avoiding a lot of like you mentioned when you're eating a true low oxalate diet, it is kind of like junk food and it's easy to
it is.
kind of lean towards higher fat foods because you
Mhm.
got to eat something, and
Yep.
so that kind of makes sense. So it sounds like generally you're feeling a whole lot better. Um,
Yes.
in addition to not having new stones, you are feeling a lot better generally.
Mhm. And
Hmm.
I have, psoriatic arthritis, and so eating a healthier diet is also helping that. It's helping
Yeah.
inflammation. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
one of the things well, 2 things that I've really been watching closely is salt and sugar,
Hmm.
which I know has helped with the weight loss as well. But, um, I grew up with one as being one of those kids where if the kids are crying, you hand them a cookie, "Here, have a cookie. That'll calm you down."
Hmm. Yeah, lots of
So,
cookies.
yeah, so
Mhm,
sugar is was a kind of a fallback for a lot of things,
mhm,
but and it was one of those things that's been, harder for me to give up, but I just decided it's just gonna have to happen because it's
mhm,
better for my arthritis, it's better for my, kidney stones, and when I found out that I didn't realize it honestly, I didn't realize that sugar helped create kidney stones.
mm. It does, it can.
It's
Too much.
yeah,
Some as all things, some is
I have
completely fine.
moderated that a lot.
Yes.
I haven't given up all sugar, but I've really reduced it,
Yeah,
and,
specifically, sugary drinks seem to be especially strongly correlated with kidney
yeah.
stones, so things like sweet tea or soda,
Mhm.
um, sugary coffee drinks, right, and any, like, sugary
Yeah.
drink. So, if I could ask, like, a large question, how would you say your
Mhm.
life is different after taking Kidney Stone Nutrition School? We kinda got into the nitty-gritty, we know a little bit more about what your diet looks like compared to what it was before, but how would you say from a more sort of holistic standpoint, how is your life different?
It's way easier to go grocery shopping, I can tell you that.
That's great. You gotta do that
It's
all the
just
time, so
I know, it's easier to go grocery shopping. I don't feel like I have to stress about whether I'm gonna be out a whole lot of money for removing a stone. I
Yeah,
mean, even with insurance, it was
it's
$9,000 out of pocket.
a ginormous financial
Yeah.
burden, yes.
Yeah, it is. So I don't have to stress about that as much. In fact, I don't really stress about it at all anymore because I know I can help control this.
Mhm,
And if a stone did develop, it'd probably be small enough that it could pass. That would be my
mhm,
guess anyway.
yeah,
If I'm trying to do everything I can to prevent them from growing in the first place, if something does, it'd probably be small enough that it would pass easily. So
mhm. Yeah,
that's
I
kind of
like
my
what you said about
reasoning on
feeling
it.
like you're in control. I hear that from
Mhm.
people a lot, it's, kidney stones are so terrible, and you just feel like you have no control over getting more. I hear from people all the
Yeah,
time that their doctors say, "Oh, well, you're a stone former. There's nothing we can do." Like, oh my God,
I
like
know.
that is so wrong. And so like how depressing. How can you tell
Yes, it
someone
was.
like
It was
truly
af
depressing? Is
after 3 lithotripsies, it was very depressing.
yes. Yeah.
After, it was very depressing. Um, yeah, I feel more relaxed about a lot of about I feel in control. I feel like I can do something that in fact, I not just feel like I can, I know I can now. I have proof.
Yeah. You have
I've been a year without them.
mhm,
So,
yeah. Have you had another urine test?
no, not recently.
Okay. Not
Oh,
since the one you got before the course.
I was gonna tell you that I did have, blood work done recently, and my
Oh,
blood work looks better too.
great. Fruits
Everything's
and
improved in the blood
vegetables.
work too. Yep.
Yep.
That's it, yeah.
Truly.
Reducing the
I know that's
sugar,
like the
increasing
most
the fruits and
lame advice
vegetables.
ever, but truly eating fruits and vegetables is good for us, turns
I
out.
know.
Mhm.
And, I substitute, rice for I've started doing cauliflower rice
Oh, okay.
instead of regular rice just
You
because
want
it
to?
adds another serving of vegetables, so
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a fun way to mix it up. Of course, there's nothing wrong with rice, nothing wrong with carbohydrate, but if you want to
no,
mix it up and add some more vegetable that way, absolutely. I've
Mhm,
made cauliflower rice and also cauliflower mashed potatoes. I think actually those are
mhm,
those are in my meal plan, right? That's in Kineso Nutrition School. I'm pretty sure that they're in there.
mhm.
They're delicious. I
They are
love real
delicious.
potatoes too, but cauliflower
Yeah,
mashed potatoes are good too.
but you can if you mix it up, you can still eat the things. It's like last night I had pizza.
Mhm.
I had a slice of pizza, veggie pizza.
Good.
Um, and I am trying to watch sodium, but occasionally you can I mean, I do once a week we have pizza, and I'm not gonna give up my I
That
instead of eating
nor
3
should
slices,
you.
I eat 1 now and eat a salad with it, so,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just
It probably isn't even like that much above your daily sodium amount, goals at all. You can
mhm,
have those higher sodium things. You can kind of plan for it. Or even if you do have four pieces of pizza in one setting, sure, you're probably going to have more than your 2,300 milligrams of sodium, but no one makes a stone in one day or from one meal. Like that's
exactly,
just not how it works.
and that's the other thing to remember is nobody makes a stone in one day. It takes
Mm-mm.
time. In fact, I was
Mhm.
gonna ask you about how, on average, how long does it take to make a stone? Do we know?
We don't really know. I think it's highly dependent on lots of things. So,
Mhm,
yeah, we don't really know. I would just be guessing. But I think the answer is months to years of diet things that are going on.
mhm,
There's certainly other forms like infections, struvite stones are formed really, really fast, but those are a very small percentage of total kidney stones. So for most of us, stones are forming over likely months of time, not one
mhm.
meal.
Now that I've been
Yeah.
stone free, I don't want them to come back. So
Yeah.
I'm not like freaked out about them coming back. I just don't want them to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you have some control now.
Mhm.
You know that
Absolutely.
you know what you can do is working.
Yep.
But I think it's only human to have it in the back of your mind after going through
Mhm.
even just one stone and much less what you've dealt with.
It was kind of nice going to my urologist and check up and having her say, it was this nurse practitioner or physician assistant rather, and she was like, "So what are you doing?" Well, then I got to tell her all about you again. I've told her before, but she started taking notes this time. And so I told her what I was doing. And she goes, "Well, you need to stay on that oxalate diet." I said, "Well, actually, if you look at my urine test, oxalates really aren't my issue. It's high urine calcium." She goes,
It's
"Oh,
never
you've
gonna
learned a
die.
lot." She was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you've learned a lot."
Yeah.
What bothered me a little bit was though, if she knows that, why isn't she sharing that with people?
I doubt she knows that. I don't think that
Because she acted like she knew. I
I my sense is that most most people are not familiar with what the data actually says for how to interpret 24-hour urine tests or what the American Urological Association guidelines say, as evidenced by the fact that, only 20% of people with stone formers get a urine test at all, despite the
Yeah.
guidelines saying that anyone with more than one stone or interested parties get a test. So if in my opinion, if anyone is telling anyone about anything having to do to prevent stones, unless you have a urine test, you're literally just guessing. I think that people don't really know what.
Well, as I was leaving the office, I said, I'm going to be requesting urine tests periodically. Is that okay? And she goes, oh yeah, I'm really curious about you, Gina. So she said she would, like, okay, any urine test anytime I wanted it. So,
Yeah, you're this rare patient that's not getting more stones and things are going
mhm,
well. Yeah.
it's
Imagine
true. I
that.
might put you guys out of business if the word gets out.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Gina, so much for spending time with me. Is there any sort of last thoughts that you have that you want to share with everyone, or maybe something you might want to share with someone who's on the fence about whether they should take kidney stone nutrition school or not?
I think, first of all, I would absolutely recommend it. It works. I am living proof that it works. When you really take it seriously and do it, it works. All of your advice has been awesome. Some of it sounds counterintuitive, drinking a glass of milk when you have high calcium, urine
Oh,
calcium,
that's
but
I
it
know.
works. It works. Okay. So when I decided to jump in and just go ahead and do it, it worked. And if somebody if somebody was on the fence because they couldn't afford to do it, then they need to be signed up for your weekly emails. They need
Mhm.
to check your blogs. They need to watch the podcasts. They need to listen to what you're saying because it works.
Yeah,
But I would still say save up and take the nutrition class because they're going
yeah,
to really truly understand their body, their urine test, what they can do, what kind of stones they create, and how to prevent them.
yeah.
That's just the bottom line. It
And
sounds
it's a
kind of
whole
cliche, but it's true.
I know. The course is a whole lot cheaper than that $9,000 out-of-pocket
Oh,
expense.
yes. Oh, yes.
And a lot
That's
more
what I
pleasant,
that's what I
I have to
decided.
imagine. Yeah,
What's that?
and a
Pardon
lot
me.
more pleasant as well.
Oh, yes. Much more pleasant. Yeah, that
I
was not
try
a
to
fun
keep it fun.
experience. That was not a fun experience at all. Because I found out I had at that point in time, I had a year ago, I had 2 more stones that had developed in my right kidney, and when they took out the stone, when I was in recovery, I was in a lot of pain, and they couldn't figure out why I was in so much pain. So I went back, like, 2 weeks later to get a recheck, and they'd done an X-ray, and the reason I was in so much pain is I had the stimulation from taking out the stone that was stuck caused me to pass the other 2 stones during recovery. That's
Yeah,
why I was in so much pain.
passing
So,
stones.
it's just not fun.
Yeah,
If I
not
can
fun.
avoid it, I'm avoiding it. So,
Mhm, and
and
feel
I've done
better
that
in
now
the
for a
meantime.
year. Oh, lots better,
Yeah,
lots better. Healthier overall. Everything about me feels healthier. Like I said, I don't dread going shopping, grocery shopping, going through the produce aisle. In fact, I buy a lot of produce now
great.
and enjoy all of it.
Yeah. Awesome. It makes me so happy. All right. Well, thank you, Gina, so, so much. Again, I'm so grateful that take the time. I know that we're all busy. So not everyone wants to come and talk with me about kidney stones on a podcast. So, thank you for taking the time,
You're welcome.
and I'm sure that we'll stay in touch. Have a good day.
Okay. You too. Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. For more help with kidney stones, check out my website, www.thekidneydietitian.org. For more personalized help from me, check out my online course, Kidney Stone Nutrition School. VIP enrollment includes help directly from me. I can't wait to see you there and help you prevent kidney stones. Have a great day.